Welcome back to Just Scarp Radio on BJPenn.com. I'm your host, Cole Sheldon. We got a good episode here ahead of UFC 310 on Saturday. First up, we're going to be joined by Michael Chiesa and Max Griffin to preview their fights against each other. Really entertaining fight this should be. Michael coming off that big one over Ferguson. Max Griffin always a tough out. Both these guys, big, savvy veterans that they're really looking forward to this fight. And both of them think the winner of this one should get a ranked opponent. And then we close things out talking to Chase Hooper to preview his fight against Clay Guida. This is a big opportunity for Chase, fighting a legend in Len Clay. He's really looking forward to this fight. He thinks a win over Clay is probably the biggest win of his career and going to really set him up for some big fights next time out. But be sure to share the show, subscribe, and tune in next week for another episode of Just Scrap Radio. All right, we're jumping UFC welterweight Michael Chiesa, who's back in action here at UFC 310. Michael, how's it going, man?
Good, man. Good. It's good to be chatting with you again.
Yeah, big fight here at year end. I know when we talked after the Ferguson fight, you said you wanted to fight on the Tampa card just because of the ESPN, like all that stuff. Did you kind of push to try to get this fight a week later? Was this just kind of what they offered you?
No, I mean, I'm not going to contest fighting on my birthday, so I'm pretty excited about it. I turned 37 the day that I get locked in a cage with Max Griffin and have to get in a proper dust up. So happy birthday to me. It would have been cool to fight in Tampa. I just really want to fight in Tampa because it's that, it's the big Stuart Scott card. And I've worked that event, I think the last 2 or 3 years. So it would have been cool to fight on it. I had a good relationship with Stuart Scott before his time came. So it would have been cool to fight there. Plus I have family down there. I beat Beneil Dariush in Tampa. It just would have been good to fight down in Tampa. It's one of those places where it's like there's the magic is in the air. I like fighting in Tampa, but I do love fighting in Las Vegas, and I don't lose in December. So I do like fighting in Las Vegas, and I like fighting on my birthday. It just adds a little extra wrinkle to this training camp.
And with Max Griffin, like he's been in the UFC for a long time, like a veteran. Was this someone you had your eye on, or like to kind of catch you by surprise, the offer?
I wouldn't say it caught me by surprise. It's just been kind of it's like when you're not ranked anymore, it's kind of like reminds you of the early days when you first start fighting in the UFC. When you're ranked, you kind of have an idea of who you could be fighting. It's between, 15 guys and you're just kind of eyeing them. And when you're unranked, it's just kind of like just kind of sit and wait for the phone call. So nothing comes as a surprise. It's just kind of like, it's like a throwback to when I was first in the UFC. So you just kind of take who they call you with. And that's kind of what I've always done anyway. So they called with Max Griffin. Max is a total stud. We've always gotten along. Anytime we see each other in passing, him and Fluffy trained together a long time ago at the old 10th Planet in Las Vegas. And I think it's fun to like get out there and lay it on the line with people you have a lot of respect for and people you consider to be your friends. It just kind of makes it a little more fun. It's just a business. I'm sure him and I'll be just fine right afterwards. I saw Fluffy and Jim West and those guys after Fluffy beat Michelle Pineda. It's all in good fun. It's just a sport.
What have you made of Max's last couple fights? Like he's a tough out for any single guy. Like he had a close fight against Magny, like fought Michael Morales really tough. Like
yeah,
no matter who he gets thrown in there, like he'll make it a pretty grindy and close fight.
He's just very competitive. He's a very competitive guy. I feel like nothing really rattles him, and he's a lot more well-rounded than I feel like people give him credit for. I've been doing this camp, studying a lot of film as always, and he's able to switch up his game plans a lot. We saw in the Condit fight, very kick heavy attack. We saw in the Zaleem fight, a lot of takedowns, really crashing the space, taking away the spinning attacks. We saw him, get in there and go tit for tat with Tim Means, and he can really just mix up his game plan. I think that's what makes him dangerous. It's what makes him unpredictable, and that's what makes this fight really exciting for me. I just don't know what I'm getting with Max Griffin, and I'm excited about that. And the same can be said for myself. There's so many aspects to my game I haven't really shown. I've been able to stick to plan A for the majority of my career and have a lot of success doing that. Max might be the guy to bring out plan B. So we'll see what happens. But I'm really excited about the matchup. I'm excited to fight on my birthday. I'm excited to fight in Las Vegas. It's been a very fun training camp.
I talked to Chase Hooper yesterday, and he said he was pretty excited to be on the card with you, a fellow Washington guy. He said he's hoping the UFC put you guys in the same locker room for the fight. Like, what's that kind of like having him on the card? Because he was saying like he kind of looked up to you, and like you were kind of that first kind of wave for the Washington guys.
Well, I wouldn't say I was the first. You got to look at guys like Josh Barnett, Jens Pulver, Dennis Hallman, Benson Henderson, Demetrius Johnson. The list goes on and on. But it's an honor to have Chase give me some praise. I think the world of the kid. I think he's uber talented. I think that between him and guys like Brady Houston, I feel like the future of Washington fighters is in really good hands. And I take a lot of pride in putting this state on my back. Very proud of where I'm from. That's why I've never left. There's something in the water here in Washington where everyone from Washington is just tough. I think it's just a blue collar state. We're blue collar fighters, and I'll be able to take care of making sure me and Chase are in the same locker room. I know who to talk to and which strings to pull. So it's cool to be sharing the card with him. It's like you can tell the torch is slowly being passed when it's like Chase gets to fight later in the night than me, and I'm excited for it, man. I love it. I've never got to fight like early on the card. I'm always like, last couple prelims on the main card, and that's great. But it's going to be nice. I can hear my coaches. I'll be able to hear my friends. I got a lot of friends coming, and it's just nice. Like on fight day, you just spend so much time. Like, okay, I don't fight till midnight. I got to spend from 10 a.m. to 12 p.m. or from 10 a.m. to 12 a.m. just thinking about the fight, going with the ebbs and flows of fight day. And it's like, this is going to be fun because I just get to wake up, shake out, go to the arena, get in a fight. Happy birthday to me. I'm excited, man. And I'm excited to share the card with Chase. I think it was only a matter of time that they would do this. I thought it would be when we were on a card together in Seattle. But I'll take this. It's going to be fun, man.
Speaking of Seattle, it did get announced. It looks like they're going there in February.
They did announce it, or they're?
I think a couple of the reporters have said like that's the targeted end of February. Like not looking past this, but like is that probably too soon to make that quick turnaround? Like I counted it with Chase. It's like I think it's 11 weeks to the day of your fight. So like,
what was Chase saying about it?
He says it has to be the right opponent for him to make that quick turnaround.
Yeah. I mean, it's a goal of mine for 2025 because once Dana dropped the news that they were going to do Chicago, they were going to do Seattle, really got my wheels turning, and I started doing some digging, asking the right people, and I had heard a lot of different things. I had heard like April, which would have been great. I heard late June, which would have been perfect. And then I started hearing about February 22nd, and you know what? It would be. Yeah, I think about it, but it would be very, very disrespectful to my opponent. Mm-hmm. And it would just be a sign that I'm looking past him if I'm really dwelling on fighting in Seattle. Do I talk about it a lot? Do I think about it a lot? For sure. But I'm not looking past Max Griffin. That would be such a big mistake for me to just be like, oh, I just got to get through this one to get to Seattle. Like, no. I'm focused on the task at hand. December 7th, Max Griffin. That's where all my focus is. And it really just depends on how my body feels coming out of that fight. When you fight Max Griffin, he lives up to that nickname. He's going to take you into the trenches for 15 minutes. And there's no guarantees that I'm going to come out of there not feeling like I got in a very, very hard fight. I think win or lose, I'm going to feel pretty roughed up. So I wouldn't even say it's got to be the right opponent for Seattle. It just really depends on how my body feels. And it is a pretty fast turnaround. I mean, it is nice to be this active, but I turned 37 on December 7th, 2 fights in 4 months. I haven't done that in a really long time, and I'm glad I'm doing it. It's the right time for it. I didn't take any damage in that Ferguson fight, but this is a different fight. So I'm just taking it one fight at a time, man. We'll see what happens, but it all starts with Max Griffin, December 7th, and I'm ready for a tough fight.
Max is like a very good striker. Like I know this game's pretty straightforward, wants to keep standing. So like, do you think you fought anyone kind of like Max, or like where it seems like it's pretty straightforward for him? Like he has good takedown defense. He's looking like in the clinch, he's really tough. Like, do you think you fought anyone kind of like him?
I don't know. Has he fought anybody like me?
That's a good question too.
You got to ask yourself that question. I bring a whole new bag of tricks that not a lot of people have faced. Every opponent is different, but I've fought very hard punchers. I've fought guys like Trinaldo and had success, and I've had fights where I've taken some shots and was able to push through, I try not to compare opponents to other opponents. I just know that Max he just has this ability to kind of switch up his game plan fight by fight. He's a little more unpredictable. He does have good takedown defense. He's good in the clinch. He trains the alpha male. I've studied a lot of his fights even before we were supposed to fight, just from working the desk. So you go into my phone and open my notes. I got the laundry list of things I've seen from Max Griffin. But for myself, I know I'm a very hard opponent to train for. I'm deceptively strong, long for the weight class. I'm crafty. I just think that I've fought more opponents that are similar to Max than he's fought opponents that are similar to me. I think that's the right way to word it.
Max is like extremely durable. Like he's only ever been finished once in the UFC. It was his debut to Covington, who obviously went on to become the interim champs. Like, this is kind of one of those fights you got to expect it's going to be probably 15 hard minutes in there.
Yeah. And I've been there before with guys like Trinaldo. It's like you got to expect to go through 3 rounds. I've been in the trenches with guys like Rafael dos Anjos. I've had to fight guys tooth and nail for 15 minutes. It's nothing new to me. I do feel like I've had more success fighting higher level guys. And I've been, no one submitted Tony Ferguson in the first round, let alone as clean as I did. I was like the second guy to submit Jim Miller. Like, I've been out there and I've done great things that no one's ever really seen before. But I do think that my strength of schedule has been a lot tougher than his. And I think that there's going to be situations in this fight where I could lean on that experience.
I'm not sure if you pay attention to like odds or anything, but I was kind of surprised that you were the underdog in this one. Does that surprise you?
It's the first time I saw that.
You're the underdog all the time, though.
Yeah, I saw that this morning for the first time. I don't really pay attention to the odds, man. It's a fight. It's not a math equation. I was pretty surprised. I think the line will even out once we get closer to fight night, but it doesn't matter, dude. I've won as an underdog. I've won as a favorite. It just doesn't really matter. But I mean, I can see why Max opened the line as a favorite. I think a lot of that has to do with that Michael Morales fight. He looked really good in that fight. Michael Morales is another one of those guys, another dark horse in the welterweight division. I think that guy will be making big waves here soon, but I'm not really paying attention to the odds, man. I don't give a crap about that stuff.
You get past Max, like, what do you think that does for you? Like, I'd have to imagine the winner of this gets a ranked opponent.
I don't know. It's hard to say. I don't really look ahead like that anymore. I'm just focused on being in the present moment. I'm focused on the task at hand. I'm not pondering what comes next. I'm just really focused on December 7th. I got 2.5 weeks till the fight. I got a week and a half to finish this training camp strong. I'm just really focused on Max. I'm not focused on what's next. I think that'd be a mistake. Let's just focus on the task at hand. Let's focus on getting this win on December 7th, see how my body feels, and then we can assess what's next thereafter.
Have you thought about how much longer you want to do this for? Like, you see guys like Jim Miller, like opponent you fought, still doing it very impressively at like 41, 42. We see a lot of these guys.
Jim Miller's built different, though. Jim Miller's like, that guy's cut from a different cloth. Like, that guy's, dude, it's incredible what he's doing. But the thing is, you can't compare yourself to other fighters, because there's so many variables in this sport with, like, I could go to my next training session. Something really bad could happen that could change the whole trajectory of my career and how long I plan to keep on fighting for. And I knew I threw the R word around a lot, in previous fights and previous interviews, but I just don't really think about it anymore. It's just more about, like I said, being present, focusing on the present moment. What's the task at hand? Not thinking about how many more I got left. I know I have reinvested in my career. I built a home gym, out back. I'm still with the same team. Nothing's changed in terms of who's at the reins and who I'm training with, but I've reinvested in my career and myself. So I'm fighting for the foreseeable future. That's just the best way to put it.
Just final thing I want to touch on is we haven't talked since Juliana reclaimed the belt. What was that like?
Yeah.
See her win, because a lot of people were counting her out there.
I mean, everybody counts us out. I think a lot of people count out me and Pena because we don't have like the cleanest fighting style. It's like we make it a little ugly. We like to make it a little bit of a dogfight. And Juliana is the most resilient human being I have ever met. I mean, there's so many things that she's been through, things that most people in the media know, the crazy things she's been through, the crazy fights she's been in. But just for the years and years that I've known her, she's just incredibly resilient. She could be fighting King Kong, and I'm never going to count her out of a fight. I mean, she's the champ for a reason, and I couldn't be any more proud of her.
Well, Michael, I appreciate the time as always. Thanks so much for doing this again.
Thank you.
Yeah. All right, we're joining UFC welterweight Max Griffin, who's got a big fight here at UFC 310. Max, how's it going, man?
Good.
Uh,
Good.
just kind of quickly, your last fight in February, like, was this a lot longer of a layoff than I imagined you wanted?
Kinda. Actually got to go to Sailor Performance Institute down in Tijuana. I got stem cell. So it was perfect timing, actually. Maybe a little longer than I wanted. I was anticipating the fight on October 19th. They told me the soonest I could fight is October 19th. That's when my teammate Anthony Hernandez smashed on Michelle Pereira. So I was looking to fight on that, but that didn't turn out. Sean's like, I got something big. Just wait. And then UFC 310, Chiesa, T-Mobile Arena. I love it.
I know when we talked before your last fight, you said that was the final one. So did you? I imagine, obviously, you ended up getting a pretty good deal then to be back and getting this fight.
I did. It feels good to get a new deal, and it's good to have a job.
Was that a lot of pressure on you going to, like, just kind of, you're kind of taking your career into your own hands? Like, if you lost, like, they might have just said, all right, well, thanks for everything. Like, we don't need to bring you back.
They probably would have. They really, realistically probably would have. And that's, the game's cold, man. The game's ice cold, but you have to bet on yourself, and you have to.
And then you get the year-end pay-per-view, Michael Chiesa. Like, how happy were you with this fight? And
so happy. It's not a bullshit fight. It's a good name. Last pay-per-view of the year. I really couldn't be. This is a legitimate guy who's been around. He's been ranked for his whole career, damn near. He just came out the rankings, but he's still in that mix of these guys. Just beat Tony Ferguson. I love the matchup.
What have you made of his last couple fights? Like, he's obviously on that 3-fight losing streak, but fighting tough guys, and then looked good against Tony. But like, it is kind of Tony's hard to really know what that win even means.
Yeah, for sure. And I haven't really thought about that. People have been asking me, he lost 3 out of 4, blah, blah, blah. He beat Tony, who was on a 9-fight losing streak or whatever he's on. That doesn't matter, to me. He's always dangerous. And I'm ready to take him out. If anything, he's more dangerous because, he has something to prove, and he's backs in the corner. So I'm ready to handle business.
Everyone kind of knows really good grappler, really good wrestler. So just imagine he's going to shoot on you pretty early. Like, I don't think he's going to want to stand too much with you.
Yeah, he's not going to want to strike. He doesn't want to really strike anyone. So he's just punching the grapple. We've been working a lot on that stuff, a lot of drilling, a lot of stuff he likes to do, and working on all that stuff. And working with my guy Elliot Kelly a lot, Ryan Loader, who an Ultimate Fighter, working with him a lot. Anthony Hernandez, working with him. We're working the stuff we need to work, and we're gonna take care of it.
That is something I was gonna ask about. Is Anthony Hernandez he's a lot better version of Michael at this stage of his career. Like, his pressure's insane. His wrestling's really good. His striking's really good. So, like, how important has he been in camp, giving you those looks of what Michael will kind of follow a similar thing, is try to push up against the cage and kind of work you to get down that way?
Yeah, I have perfect training partners for this fight. Perfect bodies. I've been sparring with southpaws for the last 3 months only. So I got the southpaw game down. And then, like I said, to be training day in and day out, 5 days a week with these guys on these certain positions, I'm more than ready for anything that he has.
With Michael, he's a pretty durable dude. Like, the way to finish him is by submissions, but like strikes, he is pretty durable. So, like, how do you kind of see it playing out?
Yeah, he's tough. He's tough. He can take a punch. He doesn't like getting hit, though. I'll say that. He doesn't like getting hit, even though he is durable. Getting hit is not his favorite. So, he's lost 4 times by Darce choke. See what happens out there.
Is that something you work on in camp? Just kind of knowing that has been a weakness? Like, hey, maybe if we can add something.
Yeah, we work it, but I'm surprised someone could get subbed that many times on that position. Is more my thing. Like, how isn't he not learning from this? He should have the best Darth choke defense ever after one, maybe two. After two, you should never be Darth choked again. And then it's just, I don't know. I don't know what to make of it.
It is a weird situation because like I'd understand if it was like a rear naked or something and like maybe like he got dropped and they just quickly got a hold of his back, but like a Darce is like it takes work to set that up, and like you think after a couple you'd be like, oh shit, like they're working to get that.
Maybe, I don't know. I don't know what to make of it, but we'll see. I got a good Darce choke.
Fighting in front of fans too in Vegas. Like, how excited are you for that? Like, he's been at the Apex for a while.
Yes, they let me out the cage, man. I'm ready to put these people on my feet, put on their feet, and getting them pumped. Put on a show, not on purpose. It's just gonna be on just by what happens out there. But the fans are gonna love it. They're gonna be on their feet. They're gonna be and they're gonna have me back. Have me back for sure.
Any pressure to get a finish? Like, judges tend to seem to not like you for whatever reason. Like, is there a bit of a thing of like, let's not get there?
I did an interview a couple of days ago. They said, I think 4 split decision. Like, whenever it's a split, I lose. You know what I mean? They did like they said the thing, but yeah, I'm not worried about it going to decision. I'm ready for 15 minutes, ready for 25 minutes, but I don't think he could handle it with me. I don't see him withstanding what I'm bringing. Durable or not, that might be a bad thing, honestly.
What do you think a win over Chiesa does for you? Like, I think this would probably be one of your biggest ones of your career. Like, Condit and Perry is obviously up there, but like, just kind of, he is a guy right near the rankings. Like, I think he'd probably get a rank guys. Like, what do you think this win kind of does for you?
Yeah, I think so. When I was talking to Sean, I said I wanted a rank guy originally when we were doing negotiations. Then he said, hey, I want to get one more, before I give you an actual number. And then they gave me this. So this is, I feel like, a perfect bridge to start my first or my new 4-5 deal. A perfect first fight on that. And then getting these rankings, and then let's go. Time to boom this shit, man.
Is there any pressure on you just to like get that? Like, you've been working to try to get in those ranks for a while and like kind of get over that hump, new deal. Like, has there been a pressure to be like, yeah, like it is my time now to get that, go on that run?
Not really. I know it's my time now. I've never felt this good. I know it's a cliche thing that people say, like, oh, this is the best I felt. But it's true though. Like I said, I went to go get stem cell, and I had so many nagging injuries that I didn't even realize that I've had over these last 18 years, man. So now my body feels so good. It's like everything. It's like you don't even know like how bad you were off until like you get fixed up. And now I've been doing brain training, been working on my brain and powering that up, and like really doing all this a bunch of future. I'm always doing recovery, but I'm doing a lot of futuristic kind of modalities at a spot down here by San Francisco called Jizen. It's just a lot of oxygen stuff, a lot of just futuristic stuff, and I've always been in that route. So my body's the best it's been, my mind, and I'm still here. I'm still here, refreshed with this new deal, and I'm ready to crush.
You get past Michael, like what is kind of the goal going forward? Like, it is obviously a rank guy, but like imagine probably be a bit more active now that it seems like you're a lot healthier.
Yeah. My little injuries are gone, so I want to fight. No more 8-month layoffs, 9-month layoffs. I want to fight 3-4 times a year, realistically.
Just final thing I wanted to touch on with you is since you last fought, the welterweight division changed a lot. Like, new champ, there's new guys coming in. Like, what have you kind of made of the division since your last fight?
It's a whole like little mix up. Just like they jumbled up the bag. But interesting. I'm curious to see who they're gonna put in against Shavkat. I saw Ian Gary today. They said maybe him. Usman said, "Nah, I'm not gonna do that. I like it, but I'm not." So I'm curious to who they're gonna put out there. I do feel blessed to be on this card. Whenever they do a welterweight title fight. They have like marquee welterweight bouts usually, so I'm happy to be on there with them. We got Luque and Nick Diaz on there. Cool to be there with Nick, you know. Brian Battle, Randy Brown. That's going to be a great fight. So it's.
If you were in Shavkat's position, like, would you take a guy on that card and fight for the interbelt, or do you just say like, hey, let's just wait for Blah? Like, I have my title shot, why risk it?
Probably wait, but I mean, because Bilal's next anyway for him, so if he wants the interim, but he might just want the interim. You know, these guys are, they want the interim. Anytime something happens, like, interim, give me the interim, give me the interim, just to have it. But I don't know. I mean, I like JDM, man. I think he's been quiet. They haven't mentioned nothing about him. I think if anyone deserves a title shot, it's him.
Yeah, what he did to Burns was impressive. Not like coming back, because like the fight that kind of showed like, hey, if it's not going his way, like he's not one of those guys that'll just give up and be like, I'll move on to the next fight. Like he fought back and then knocking out Burns is impressive.
Wild, yeah. I think he should get the title fight. If they did do that, they need someone. And I heard today that they said that they did find someone for sure. But we'll see. I've heard for sure about Usman too. So.
Yeah. Well, Max, anyways, I appreciate the time as always. Thanks so much for doing this again.
Thank you, Cole.
All right, we're jumping UFC lightweight Chase Hooper, who's got a massive fight to end the year. Chase, how's it going, man?
Good. Yeah, like you're saying, just big opportunity here in December, getting ready for it, and just trying to make sure I'm doing everything I need to in order to make it happen.
Fighting a legend like Clay Guida, like what was kind of the reaction when that name kind of came across the contract?
Yeah, I mean, I was surprised for sure, but I mean, as far as opponents go, like I felt like my last opponent, like Slava's like a guy that's like trying to hurt you, you know? So that I felt like that was objectively like a scarier fight, where Clay is a guy that's like trying to beat you. So, you know, like it's a higher level of experience, obviously, and I think he's more well-rounded, you know, better wrestler, not as much of a power striker, obviously, but yeah, I was pretty interested by the matchup, and it seemed like UFC was really keen on making it happen. Yeah, I mean, I'm here for it. It's you know, it's always an honor to be able to fight a guy of his caliber, and yeah, I mean, you don't get the opportunity every day to fight a Hall of Famer, so you know, I'm here for it.
He'll be 43 by the time the fight comes around, but still fight at a high level. Like, what's that guy like? What have you kind of made of his last couple fights? Like, obviously he's lost the last two, but you kind of look at who he's fought, and Rafa Garcia, Joaquin Silva. Like, he's been still fighting like some pretty tough guys at his age.
Yeah, I mean, it is really surprising, like when you look at Clay's style, how long he's been able to stick around. Because it's not like a Wonder Boy or like a Damian Maia, like these guys that are able to like use their styles to maybe not take a ton of damage. Like Clay's kind of in there like grinding. I mean, I would say he has pretty solid head movement, but like he's got more of a grinder type of style, like where you don't necessarily come out of that super unscathed all the time. So it's surprising that he's been able to stick around for that long and still be effective with that style. And yeah, kind of like you were saying, like he's still fighting these top-notch guys. He's not on like a BJ Penn or like a Tony Ferguson type of trajectory. You know, like he's still in the mix. He's still fighting these guys like outside of the top 15. And I mean, yeah, he's got that crazy pace, crazy cardio. I mean, it's a fun matchup.
You grappled him like 2 years ago now. Do you think that plays any factor in the fight? Like, obviously you did get the submission, but like grappling is a lot different compared to like MMA grappling. Like, do you look back on that, see what worked, or do you just kind of throw that out the window?
I mean, I thought going into the grappling match, I was like, I think leg locks are probably the way to go, because it was right after he lost to Claudio Puelles via knee bar. So I was like, yeah, that makes sense. Like an older guy, maybe not super up on the new leg lock type stuff. So that was kind of my thing going into that match. But I don't know. I mean, I'm not trying to like make it more than it was. Like, again, like you're saying, like grappling is definitely different than MMA. And Clay's got like such a unique style on the feet that he poses some problems just by being kind of weird and like hard to predict. Like just the way that he moves and stuff is hard to track him down. But yeah, I guess the biggest part for me this camp is not being overconfident. Like he's still a dog, and like he's still in the fight. Like he's pretty game. He's really durable, great cardio, great pressure, great wrestling. Like so, there's still a lot of stuff that I have to be really mindful of. But I would say like my jujitsu is better. But I mean, I would hope that was the case anyways. He's probably better in the singlet than I am, you know, and then the feet is where we'll see, you know, we'll toss it up there. But yeah, I mean that's the biggest thing for me this camp is not taking, you know, not like looking past this fight, still taking him seriously. Like he's a legend of the sport, and there's a reason why he's been in the UFC since I think what 2007, you know. Um, Yeah, I mean he's a gamer and so am I, and it's a fun matchup, and I can see why UFC was so keen on making it. Like if we're striking, it's gonna be pretty wild. You know, if we're grappling, it's gonna be a lot of crazy scrambles. Like I think it's just a fun matchup overall, and that's the thing. That's the biggest thing I'm trying to prepare for is just that pace and just making sure my cardio is on point.
Does that make it harder? Like you obviously train like hard no matter what, but like is there something in the back of your head where like compared to your last fight where like via shove, like there was a lot of talk of like, oh, he's gonna knock you out, and like you were a big underdog compared to this fight, everyone kind of expects you to win, like you'll be a big favorite. Like, does that change anything or like to make it harder to like kind of go into the fight like that?
I mean, I think I'm getting to a pretty good spot. Like this will be my 10th UFC fight, and you know, 5 years with the company and here in December, so I'm starting to settle in a little more, and you know, obviously, like I just know that the nerves are gonna get there. Like whether we're, you know, when we're in the back room and stuff, I'm like, okay, I actually got to go out here and you know do the damn thing. So I'm not. That's the thing is not worrying more than I need to, like before it matters. Like not worrying too much about the stuff right now. Like, oh, what if this happens? What if that happens? Like in those 15 minutes, like it's my goal right now and my job to be as prepared as I can to try and make sure that, you know, I'm ready for the weight cut, you know, make sure my cardio is on point. So I don't know. I feel like it's a little different, but I'm just, you know, still in the mindset of like competing. Like I'm ready to compete again. It's been a little bit, and I think I'm getting into a better, like a healthier relationship with competition and like kind of getting rid of the excess anxiety and just kind of knowing that I'll feel what I need to feel, like, you know, when the time comes. And yeah, I'm here for it.
This is your third time on this year-end pay-per-view spot. It's normally pretty good cards. What's that like for you to be back on a pay-per-view in front of fans in Vegas, where you've had some success?
Yeah, so it's nice. Like my UFC debut was at T-Mobile, and it's been 5 years since then. So it'll be nice to be back and feel like you know, the familiarity of it, and just getting to enjoy it. Like now that I'm a little more comfortable, you know, with this being my job, like this being my life, like a little more comfortable in the UFC. So I think it's my time to put on a show. I mean, I'm not really the worst part about being on these big cards is like I'm probably not going to get a bonus, you know, regardless of the performance I put on. So that's one thing, but I mean, they pay me well enough. I'm not gonna, you know, go without if I don't have a bonus. So, you know, it's just getting more eyes on you, more exposure. So it's a little more fun, and then it's cool to be able to interact with, you know, some of the guys that are going to be on the card, and yeah, just be able to watch high caliber fights, you know, before mine and after mine. So I'm looking forward to it.
And one guy on the card is Michael Chiesa, fellow Washington guy. I don't know how close you guys are or anything, but how cool is that? Kind of, I imagine like he's probably someone you looked up to growing up, just kind of from that same area and seeing what he was doing in the UFC.
Yeah, I mean, he was a couple hours away. I didn't really start training with him too much until I think, right after Contender Series. Actually, I started training with him more often, but maybe a little before. But yeah, no, I mean, I already got a little bit of training with him in, you know, towards the beginning of camp when he was out this way. Um, yeah, it's always nice because I feel like so much of the time, like you're kind of in your own little bubble. Like you don't know any other camps. You don't really know any of the other fighters. Like not, you know, intimately. Like I haven't trained with any of those guys. So we're not like hanging out or anything. So it'll be nice to, be able to hang out with like some of his teammates and stuff, and hang out with those guys and talk to them. And yeah, I mean, it'll be a little more comfortable. Just more people we know. Maybe we'll shove it in the same locker room. Who knows? But yeah, it'll be cool. Just another Washington guy on the card. Another guy I've trained with. So yeah, I'm looking forward to it.
Both you and Clay are very good grapplers, kind of historically, as we've seen. When two grapplers fight, especially high level ones, it kind of turns into this kickboxing fight, like we saw with Bo Nickel and Paul Craig, like Asker and Maya was the kickboxing fight. Like, do you imagine your fight's gonna look like that, or do you think you guys will hit the ground at some point?
No, I don't think we're gonna be standing up the whole time. I'm pretty confident in that. I honestly think Clay's probably more trending towards the stand up than I am. Maybe because of the grappling match, but I think just in his nature, like he tends to wrestle a whole lot. And I would say if I had to predict, I think he's probably gonna go more like the veteran move and try to get takedowns like towards the end and like really just kind of hold and stall a little bit and try and steal the rounds with takedowns. So that's, I think that's probably the minimum as far as grappling goes. But I'm hoping for a lot more than that. And it seems like he will kind of engage. I felt like he engaged in some weird positions that were maybe not beneficial for him in the Puelles fight. And he seems to do that. Like he'll take guys down and then he'll still be active in the guard. And, you have a guy like Puelles was shooting up triangles, shooting up omoplatas. Like that's stuff that I do all the time. So we'll see if he engages in that or not. But I would be surprised if it ends up on the feet for the whole 15. I definitely am expecting to grapple a little bit. I'm honestly prepared for whatever, but I think he's going to wrestle at some point.
How do you kind of see it playing out then? Like you're a guy that gets finishes most of your wins. We've seen Clay get submitted. It's like, how do you kind of see it playing out?
Yeah, I mean, I think some of the guys in Clay's career that have submitted him are like some of the best in the world, like Charles Oliveira, like these type of guys. Like Clay's fought some of the best, and so it's trying to kind of prove that I can be on that level, at least with like the jiu-jitsu side of things. Just proving that I have some great jiu-jitsu and I can submit a guy that has been at the top for a long time. So I think I'm pretty confident in my jiu-jitsu. It's just honestly, if I do end up wrestling, like trying to be smart about it, not wasting too much energy. I feel like a lot of the guys that I've seen having in Clay's like recent fights that have been struggling with him have been the ones that will just try to get back up when he takes him down. Like they're not really engaging in the grappling at all. They're just trying to get up and then he takes him down. And they're trying to get back up and he rips them back down. So they're getting gassed out that way, where I'm pretty confident that's not going to happen. So yeah, I mean, it's just such a fun matchup, and I'm really looking forward to going against a guy that's, been in there with some of the best in the world, and again has been at the top for so long. I mean, it's a huge opportunity. So I'm trying to make the most of it.
What do you think a win over Clay does? He like obviously fair to say this will probably be the biggest win of your career. Like I know you're in no rush to get to the rankings, but like where do you think that kind of puts you in the division?
Yeah, I think it puts me probably right outside the top 15, like towards one of those, like the higher tier guys that are unranked. I mean, I don't really have any specific names yet. I mean, we'll see. I think it would depend on how the fight goes. Like if it's close, then I'm probably not going to get a huge jump up. But I think if I finish him or if I finish him quick, like I think that they'll definitely try and bump me up from there. But yeah, I mean, like I said, like I've had this will be my 10th fight with the UFC. This will be 5 years, here. So I'm getting pretty comfortable with how everything works and like just the pressure of it. Like I'm starting to normalize to it. So I think I'm in a spot where I'm starting to prove that I'm, getting ready for these higher level opportunities. And, this is definitely one of them. So, yeah, I mean, I guess we'll see December 7th. So
I'm not sure if you saw it today, but kind of came out that they're looking to go to Seattle the end of February. Do you think that's probably too quick? I just checked; it's 11 weeks from your fight. Like if everything goes around, like is that pretty tight to try to turn around that quick?
I mean, I would like to be there for, like I'd like to do maybe some appearance stuff, like be in Seattle for it and like work around the card. But I don't know. I'm not really in a rush. And again, like it's hard to plan. Like, okay, I'm gonna do this fight and then I'm gonna not get hurt. Also, I don't know. Like I've been grinding the past year and a half. Like I went from let's see, the Levitt fight, and then I went and I grappled Aljo, and then I fought Slava, and then I had a kid, and then now we're back to it. Like I had like pretty much like a whole year where I was just dieting like back and forth with like not really a ton of break. So I wouldn't mind maybe just a little bit of time to take a little family trip somewhere, just not think about training for a week, in January. But I don't know. We'll see if it was the right matchup and things worked out perfectly. Maybe we can make it happen. But I guess that's the hardest part about the sport is you really can't plan around it. Like you just got to take it fight by fight. I would like to be there doing something at least. I don't know if I'll fight, but we'll see. We'll see what UFC wants. We'll see how I'm doing after Clay. So yeah.
Just final thing, like what is kind of the goal for you going forward? Like it seems like you're on this pretty set 2 fights a year, which seems good for you right now, especially just because you're young, you're still developing. It's like, is that kind of the goal in 2025 for you?
2 fights would be all right. I would not be opposed to 3. Again, like it's so hard to plan it. Like everything has to go perfect. Like can't get too beat up, can't get injured, that type of stuff. So yeah, either 2 or 3 fights next year would be nice. Really just depending, if I'm winning, like let's bump up the activity a little bit, try to stack some money away and start making some progress in the division. But if not, I mean, yeah, we'll see. That's the thing is like I was trying to fight like October, but just with the UFC schedule and stuff just ended up filling up quick, and they're like, December is the soonest we can get you. So here you go. So yeah, I mean, it's part of the activity level is like not really up to me. It's just up to UFC schedule. They've got over 500 people on the roster that they're all trying to get fights for. They're trying to get matchups for, and yeah, I mean, I'm doing the best I can at staying busy. But if they offer me 3 fights next year, I'd be happy. But two at a minimum, yeah.
Yeah, well, Chase, I appreciate the time as always. Thanks so much for doing this again.
Yeah, thanks. Good talking to you.